clinicaltrialsguru.com. Again, it's theclinicaltrialsguru.com. My name is Dan Sfera. First of all, thank you very much for coming. Make sure you subscribe. Trust me, okay, you do not want to miss out on things that I'm going to be doing that may be of benefit to you. So let me get right into this question. Again, for those of you who don't know how this works, you send me a question, Dan at theclinicaltrialsguru.com, or any social network. Just like try all of them. I'm on almost all of them. My most recent one that I am having a lot of fun with is Snapchat. So find me on there. It's Dan Sfera, and that's my username. And yeah, let's get into the program today. So today's question comes from someone who wants to know they're a monitor, but they want to know what they should ask for, what they should ask the site for during the closeout visit. So this is obviously, closeout visits are common. They occur in every single study. So there's a lot that is known about them. What's typically done is the site will submit the IRB closeout report. You make sure all queries are resolved. You make sure the regulatory binder is in perfect order, especially the delegation of duties log, because that's the first thing the FDA will look at in an audit. You make sure all the IP, all the investigational product has been shipped back. You find out where the site keeps their lab kits and whether they will destroy them or whether they will have them shipped back to the sponsor. Typically, sites will destroy them, and they have an SOP for destroying lab kits. You make sure ECG machines are returned if applicable, e-diaries, anything like that. You make sure all ECRFs have been signed off by the PI. And that's about it. Now, as far as like maintenance, I've actually brought this topic up on my Clinical Trials Guru Leaders group on LinkedIn. So if you haven't been there, you're missing out. Just go to LinkedIn, do a search for groups, and type in the Clinical Trials Guru Leaders. Okay, and you'll find it's about 150, 170 strong by this point, May 5th, 2015. So I took this question there, and I got some pretty good answers from some people on there. And one of them is, so there's some other issues we can look at when it comes to closeout visit as it pertains to sites. One is when the sites will receive their final payment. So usually, not always, but usually, sponsors will hold back either 10% or 20% of all study fees that the site has earned in order to make sure that the site complies with the sponsor towards the end of the study. So that final payment should be triggered shortly after that closeout visit. It's your responsibility as a site to make sure that you follow up on that. All right, follow up on that, and make sure that you get that final payment sent to you. Another thing is record retention. So where are you going to store your records? Usually it's at a third-party place like Iron Mountain. Maybe it's at your own site. The sponsor needs to make note of where the records will be kept. Now, if your site's closing, which I've had this happen recently at one of my clinics. We had a closeout visit. It was the last study. The site was closing. The PI was retiring. You can request to ship the records back to the sponsor. Typically, they'll say yes. I had like out of 50 sponsors and 50 different trials that I was responsible for sending back, like 45 of them said yes, 5 of them said no, so we had to make other arrangements long term. So typically in a closeout visit, they're going to want to know where you're keeping the records. Also, they're going to want to know, because sometimes they have questions or issues come up even after the study's over, typically within that first year after closeout visit, although it's more like 6 months, where sponsor and CRO might be doing a final reconciliation of their regulatory binders and trial master files, and they might notice that they're missing something from the site. Maybe they're missing a particular form, or something wasn't submitted to the IRB. This came up recently for me. So they need to have a contact that they can reach out to even when the study's closed. So typically that's what they would ask for. they're not going to ask the PI for these things. They're usually going to ask the study coordinator. So if I were a CRA, these are the things I would ask for. And yeah, that's pretty much what a closeout visit's all about. They're fun. I'm kidding. They're not really that fun. But they occur all the time. Like I said, every study has a closeout visit. So I'm sure you've experienced a few of them yourself, but if not, if you're a site, those are the things to look out for. My favorite is making sure you get your final payment, if there is one. And if I were a CRA, I would make sure that I have a contact at the site that I can contact for future problems or questions, and also where the study records will be kept. Hopefully this helps answer your question on closeout visits. Keep sending your questions to me, Dan at theclinicaltrialsguru.com. And thanks for watching. Take care.
Yeah.